you start looking at some of the perceptions. You know, physical activity has been highlighted as one of the primary interventions and strategies to help people maintain high levels of function as you age. Then you look at that. Attitudes towards physical activity. Most people who are 70 plus, you know, they grew up in the generation of physical activity is hard work. Man, you know, anything you can do to get out of it is great. And you think about the Industrial Revolution. The whole purpose was to remove the burden of physical exertion. And so now suddenly, you look at the Industrial Revolution, and automated stuff was expensive. You know, first you start off with a push lawnmower. When you got more successful, you bought the power lawnmower because you could afford it. And then pretty soon you got the ride-on lawnmower, and then when you really made, you just hire someone else to do all that stuff. Yeah? And so now you're telling people, you know, there's a definite link between success and lack of physical exertion. I mean, you have your laborers and you have your professional people. And there's a very definite psychological link. And so now you're telling these same people, oh, exercise is good, you need to do it, here, pay for it, buy it besides that. I mean, it's a pretty hard sell. It really is, but you have to understand why it's a hard sell. And then you look at some of the biases for men and exercise. You know, think about the media images of the 50s or something. You know, the guy comes in from a hard day's work and he, you know, sits in the recliner and he gets all this reward for his rest. You know, rest is a reward for all of his hard work, and he's brought the lemonade and, you know, oh, you've had such a hard day and all those kinds of things. And then also there's a very strong link between, I've had a lot of older gentlemen tell me that, you know, what they think of exercise is what was done in the boot camps in military service. Okay? That's exercise. And anything else is probably not going to do you any good anyway. And why in the heck would I want to do that again? It was painful, it was grueling, it was brutal. And so there's those kinds of biases. And then women in physical activity. It's unladylike. You know, there was a bias that was unladylike. I mean, I'm only 51, and I was always called a tomboy because I liked to be outside playing with my brother and his friends, doing sports and everything. And I can remember my mom telling me that I shouldn't exercise so hard because I was going to hurt my female organs. I think I was like 12, and I wasn't really sure what that meant, but it didn't sound good. And there was always that moment, you know, after I'd gotten hit, you know, or something fallen on the ground and tackled or whatever, and it was kind of like, get up, look around, make sure nothing fell off. Do the wrist check, good, dodge that bullet. I mean, what did that mean? But there was a definite message that could be harmful. Physical activity could be harmful if you're a woman. In fact, I was speaking at a group of about 300 seniors, and there was, I asked that question, you know, how many women in here were ever told by a parent or a physician or someone like that you know, they have to be careful not to hurt themselves because they're women, and with physical activity, and about 60% of them raised their hand. So that's very powerful. That can be a very powerful deterrent, especially if you have some sort of condition that makes you feel vulnerable. And so think about that a minute. So, you know, as a health promotion specialist or something, I might get really frustrated because I'm saying, my message is, your physical function is so important to me. I really want to make sure that you have what you need to be independent your whole life. And then you get the no, I don't want to participate, you know, in these strategies. And you take the no as a no, they don't think it's important, but I don't think that's the no. I think the no is that perhaps it is extremely important to me that I retain physical function. I want to be independent. I can't possibly do anything that could risk that might hurt me. I can't possibly do anything that might hurt me and risk that. And so we have to get over that barrier that physical activity can be harmful. And we have to start talking about it. We have to start getting physicians engaged and breaking down those barriers because they're very powerful. So if I believe this story that age is equal to decline and there's nothing I can really do about it, if I'm not able to change it, why in the heck would I exercise and be physically active if I didn't really like it? Why would I stop eating things that were harmful to me if I really thought that the outcome was going to be no different? If you don't believe in a different possibility, why would you even begin to change your behavior? I don't think I would. Most people wouldn't. the author was talking about how her mother had been very, very dependent and active in the community and all these kinds of things, and she fell and broke her hip, and the whole story was about her mother and how difficult it was to get her mother to accept a new normal in her life. The walkers and the you know, being isolated at home and all this kind of stuff. And it just, you know, that phrase, the new normal, it was like, ugh, you know. But what really struck me about it is there's a phrase in there where she said, we've known this was going to happen, we've known this was coming for a long time because for the last year she's been using the walls and the furniture to get around in her apartment. And I thought, and nobody did anything because she was 90 years old. Nobody did anything. Now, if she had had a heart murmur, if she had had, you know, some kind of a lump in her breast or something, there would have been evaluation, there would have been talk about treatment, there would have been some intervention. And yet here she was showing every symptom of physical frailty and nobody did anything. She didn't ask for help. The physician didn't flag it. The family didn't ask for help. And why do you think that is? Because she was 90. Because they expected her to be frail when she was 90. And so nobody did anything. And that's what we have to change. That's the layers that we have to start taking care of immediately. Because if we don't, this wave that's coming is going to drown us. We have to engage individuals, families, physicians, everybody in the process of doing what we can do. We can do something about it. This is a study that was done in 1990, so it's 18 years old. Over 100 nursing home residents, age 72 to 98, multiple chronic conditions, heart disease, arthritis, osteoporosis, all this kind of stuff. Did a vigorous strength training program with them, increased their strength by 113% average. First study that proved without a shadow of a doubt that regardless of how sedentary, regardless of how frail, that you could do something about it, that you could not only slow or stop the process, but reverse it. Now this has been proven over and over and over again in the last 18 years, but it's still not mainstream in terms of, you know, intervention. It's still not mainstream in terms of intervention. We have to start using the tools we have available to us to help people retain